Time for our Saturday Throwback, when we rummage through those old News 4 archives. And today we're going to go back to January 1979 for two reports from longtime News 4 reporter Kathy McDonald. With these reports, we'll see just how much things have changed, but in some cases they've also stayed the same. The first report focuses on an issue which today, 42 years later, still divides America. But in 1979, it was especially hot, and that's because it was only 6 years after Roe versus Wade, the 1973 U.S. Supreme Court ruling that legalized abortion. So every year in January, tens of thousands of Americans travel to Washington, D.C. for the March for Life. They go there to call for an end to legalized abortion. The now familiar tradition actually started back in 1974, just 1 year after that court ruling, but it continues even until today. Now, this video here is from 2017. In 1979, the event was only 6 years old. When participants returned home after a long bus ride from the Capitol, News 4 was there, and this is Kathy McDonald's report from that day.
Nearly 200 metro area residents arrived back in St. Louis this afternoon, slightly delayed by bad weather and bus breakdowns. They were coming from Washington, D.C. after attending an anti-abortion rally yesterday. Yesterday was the 6th anniversary of the Supreme Court decision legalizing abortion, and the St. Louisans were among thousands marching in the nation's capital, trying to change legislators' minds, trying to persuade lawmakers to pass a constitutional amendment that would make abortion illegal.
If we keep doing this every year, the legislators are going to be aware of it. Every year they are more aware of it. One of these years, hopefully by 1981, they will have the constitutional amendment.
I don't think I changed very many, especially senators or congressmen's minds, but to keep it in the media, to keep it out in the open, to show that, we care and we're growing and we're going to change.
We did our best and we made a good showing, and we talked to a lot of the legislatures, and we think we made progress.
I think it just shows people that there's a lot of people against abortion, and it gets more people interested, and I think that's what we really have to do.
Those who went to Washington were rather enthusiastic about what happened there. They do say, though, they've got a long battle ahead of them. For the newsroom, this is Kathy McDonald, downtown.
Of course, then as now, pro-choice supporters also work to make their voices heard. This is video of a small demonstration in downtown St. Louis. Today, 42 years later, the debate over abortion continues to be a very passionate one. As you heard in Kathy's report, it was common then to refer to pro-life advocates as anti-abortion. Pro-choice advocates were often referred to as pro-abortion. Those terms now largely fallen out of use, replaced with pro-life and pro-choice. Our next report now highlights a major change in our lives. Back in 1979, it was impossible for most residents of a large city like St. Louis to even think about going without their daily newspaper. And in fact, in 1979, St. Louis didn't have just one daily. They had two dailies, the Post-Dispatch and the Globe Democrat. But for more than 2 months, those presses stopped as newspaper workers went on strike. Now remember, this is when there was no internet, there were no smartphones, no 24-hour news cycle. So when that strike ended after more than 2 months, it was a pretty big deal. Kathy McDonald was there when the presses started running once again.
The pressmen say it took a little bit longer than usual this afternoon, about 15 minutes longer, to get tomorrow's Post-Dispatch ready to go to print. But they got it done. They said the main problem was that the machines were just a little bit sluggish. They haven't been used for too long, But now they're back in operation, and with one hiss, a couple of cranks, and a couple of bangs, the Post-Dispatch was printed.
The black and white which we're printing tonight is 112 pages. They have supplements, 3 past issues of comics. 26th of November, December the 3rd, December the 10th. And they have a parade magazine and the Sunday pictures.
You glad to be back at work?
Oh yeah, it's tough to be without a paycheck.
How's the equipment? Is it going to be running all right tonight, do you think?
Why not?
It's not rusting from disuse?
No.
Sure I am.
It's been kind of rough, hasn't it?
Well, nobody likes to be without work.
It's very nice, very nice. Yes.
You didn't forget what you were supposed to do?
Oh, no, no.
Okay, are most of the guys glad the strike's over?
I would think so.
Well, here it is, the finished product, the first Post-Dispatch that's been printed in 54 days, as you can see by the headline, and it looks like the Post-Dispatch and the Globe Democrat employees are going to be glad to get back to work. I don't know about you, I think the paper that I missed the most was my Sunday paper, and I'll be kind of glad to have it back tomorrow. For the newsroom, this is Kathy McDonald reporting.
Yep, times have changed just a little bit. The Globe Democrat was the afternoon paper, the Post-Dispatch the morning paper, and that's another thing that used to be very common in major American cities, a morning and an evening paper. The newspapers actually shared, though, the same printing presses, so two newspapers, just one printing operation. The Globe lasted another 7 years after that report, printing its last edition in December 1986. But you can still read it. All those Globe archives are held at the St. Louis Mercantile Library, housed at the University of Missouri, St. Louis. So how about Kathy McDonald, who you saw there in those reports? She worked at Channel 4 until 1985, when she left to work in communications for McDonnell Douglas, now Boeing. She had her own communications consulting company for a time and even spent some years as a missionary for the Episcopal Church in Jerusalem. We actually tracked her down this week in Salt Lake City, where she lives near her children and grandchildren. She tells us she works there in corporate offices for a firm providing hospice and palliative care services. Well, you know what was not common back in 1979? Backyard chickens in urban neighborhoods. You really didn't see a whole lot of that back then, but now